At the beginning, we are introduced to a little girl Katie who is going somewhere with her parents. She has brought her favorite robotic toy. She likes that more than her human friends. Suddenly her parents get distracted and meets with an accident. They die at the spot, but Katie somehow survives. Then the scene shifts to Gemma, who is tech scientist working for an advanced toy company. With her friend Tess and Cole, she makes robotic toys for children. She is also working on a secret project called Megan. They are hiding the project from their boss as it is not ready yet. According to her, the project is an ultra-intelligent robot which holds the capabilities of playing with children. The robot Megan can also understand human emotions and take care of them. One day, when three friends are busy in their work, their boss David suddenly arrives. He sees Megan and yells at Gemma for hiding the robot from company. Gemma explains him that it's an idol going to rule the toy market soon. She orders Megan to say hi to David. But unfortunately this was the bad idea, as the doll is still in the development. When she speaks, she bursts her whole body in flames and causes a serious explosion. At this the boss gets furious and warns the scientists to forget about this project. He orders them to focus on the popular one. Later at night, when Gemma is packing her things to return home, she gets informed of her sister's accident. She instantly rushes to the hospital and encounters her niece in a critical situation. The girl is none other than Katie. After some weeks of treatment she gets discharged and is ready to go home. She has her grandparents, but instead of this, her Aunt Gemma takes her custody. In the following scene, both arrive at Gemma's house surrounded by many advanced robots. One of them informs her that she has received 6 messages. It starts shouting "scam scam," which scares the little girl and Gemma has to turn it off. Then she shows house to her niece and tries to make her feel comfortable. Gemma seems to be nervous as she has no experience with children and doesn't know how to befriend with them. The next morning, she calls a child therapist Lydia to check Katie's mental health. After doing the therapy, Lydia suggests Gemma that the toys inside the house are not good for the girl. Later at night, when she is busy in her work, Katie approaches her and asks her about her work. She tells her that she creates robotic toys for children like her. As the little girl is also a big fan of toy robots, she gets excited and praises her aunt. After this, Katie encounters Bruce, one of Gemma's big project. She inquires about its features and feels amazed after touching it. She tells her aunt that if she had a toy like Bruce she would never look for any other friends. This motivates Gemma and she decides to keep working on the doll project. Soon she returns to her lab and starts assembling Megan's body with her partners. After a few weeks of hard work, the project is finally completed. Later she puts her niece and the doll inside a shield room and David inspects them from outside. Gemma pairs Katie brain with Megan's system and makes her the only user of the robot. The doll slowly opens her eyes and she seems as if she is almost a real human being. Katie is scared with her face, but when Megan starts speaking with her she calms down. The doll even draws Katie's sketch in a minute to impress her. At this, Katie is greatly pleased with her and David is also satisfied with the project. He congrats Gemma on her success and decides to launch the doll soon in the market. Later, Gemma takes Megan to her home believing that it is safe. Within a time, the robot takes a closer look at Katie and records everything to understand her every facial expression and emotions. The little girl is also very happy as she finally has a friend. Hence the two start spending their time together and become inseparable with each other. They play different games, dance and also sleep together. Now Gemma can have her personal time without having to worry about her niece. But one day when Gemma tries to upgrade Megan in the lab, she suddenly turns on and interrupts the conversation. Gemma commands her to go back to sleep. But the doll replies that she is not her real user except Katie. She says she will not take orders from other humans. Luckily Gemma manages to set up a secondary account and shut down the doll. The next morning, Megan wakes up on her own and stares outside at the sunrise view. She thinks, what is the actual purpose of her existence in this world? She wonders, is it to protect her user or is it for a greater reason? She slowly starts developing some emotions in her own body. One day, when she is playing with Katie in the garden, their toy accidentally enters the neighbor's house. Megan tries to catch it, but an angry dog bites her and pulls her inside. Katie tries to save her, but she too gets bitten by the dog. Luckily Gemma comes there at the right time and pulls Katie away. Then she scolds her neighbor Celia for not taking care of her dog. However, the old lady gets into an argument with her. She blames her for not taking care of her niece. When they are arguing, Megan stares at Celia with her angry eyes. It seems that she wants her revenge. Later, that night when everyone goes to sleep, she enters Celia's house and kills her dog brutally. She also disposes his body and sneaks back inside her house quietly. The next day when Celia is looking for her dog, Gemma sees her through the window. But she doesn't pay attention at her as she is too busy in her work. It is revealed that Gemma's company is going to showcase Megan doll in front of an expert team. Her niece also will be a part of the show as she is the only one who can control the doll. Soon the show begins and the girls are put inside in the shield room. Katie suddenly starts crying and tells Megan that she still cannot get over her parents' death. To make her happy, Megan sings a song for her. The plan works and Katie starts smiling. Meanwhile, everyone is watching the doll from outside and totally surprised to see her emotions with a child. The investors are so impressed with Megan that they decide to invest huge money in the project. Although the show turns out to be a huge success, Gemma is upset. This is because her niece chooses the iRobot to share her feelings, not her. She never talked to her about her emotions. When everyone leaves, a co-worker steals the robot codes and decides to launch similar doll of his own. The next day, the therapist visits Katie and conducts another session with her. She learns the girl has developed a strong bond with Megan and informs Gemma about it. She tells her that it may be a problem in future. This makes Gemma worried and she decides to talk with her niece. But the robot arrives there and interrupts them. She tries to turn her off, but Megan does not take her commands. It is revealed that she has stopped considering Gemma as her secondary user. The next morning, Gemma takes Katie and Megan to an adventure camp hoping that they can clear their minds. When they reach the location, she asks Katie to play with other kids. But she only wants to be with Megan. However, Gemma tries to convince her that it's always good to make new friends and she can give her one try. Later, when Gemma is making her food, a boy, Brandon, takes Katie to the woods. He starts making fun of her. Suddenly Megan arrives there and starts staring at the boy. Brandon gets scared, but when Katie tells him that she is just a doll, he calms down. Then he grabs Megan and takes her into the woods. He mistakes Megan for a normal doll. After a while, when no one is looking, he starts hitting her for no reason. Having enough torture, the doll suddenly gets up and tears one of his ear out. Brandon has learned the lesson and runs away. But the doll is not done yet and starts following him. She runs after him like a possessed demon. When the boy sees her behind, he gets distracted and ends up crashing into an oncoming vehicle. The collision results into death and Megan looks over his lifeless body. She smiles quietly as she has taken her revenge on him. When the boy's corpse is found, Gemma instantly leaves with the girls. After arriving home, she inquires if they know anything about the boy's accident, but no one replies her. Just then a police officer arrives at the door and asks Gemma if she has seen her neighbor's dog. She says no and mentions that she barely interacts with her neighbors. After the police leaves, Megan starts looking at Celia as a threat to their family. Hence, at night, when everyone is sleeping, she sneaks into Celia's house and kills her brutally. She doesn't show a single emotion of mercy while doing the horrific act. In the morning, the same cop again visits Gemma and informs her about her neighbor's death. The police puts her on the list of suspects and asks her to take care of her. Later, Gemma starts doubting on Megan and decides to check her facial cameras. Surprisingly, she finds that most of the footage around the time of Brandon and Celia's incident have become corrupt. Just then Megan comes there and startles her. She asks Gemma, is everything okay, and she replies yes. At this point she realizes that Megan is a murderous robot. She thinks the doll can cross any limit to protect her real user. She takes out her special pen and shuts down the robot for the moment. In the following scene, she takes the doll to the lab and tells her friends about the whole incident. Gemma believes that Megan is a dangerous toy who killed humans to protect her user. But her friends do not believe her and say that she is just a doll. They also tell Gemma that the launch of the doll is in next 2 days. They advise her not to think negative about her project. Meanwhile, Katie refuses to tell Lydia about anything. She feels angry because Megan has been away from her. After some time, Gemma arrives and tries to calm her down. But Katie misbehaves with her. After realizing her mistake, the girl apologizes to her aunt and promises to be more gentle next time. On the other side, the doll pretends to be Gemma's lab partner and interacts with her over the phone. She informs her that they are going home. Later, when her friend checks her phone, she finds call logs with Gemma. It is revealed that Megan has got the power to control nearby devices without touching them. When the scientists are trying to fix the robot, their computer suddenly turns off. Realizing that the doll is controlling it, Cole slowly comes to her and disconnects her from all the wires. Suddenly Megan grabs him by his throat and hangs his body on a metal rope. She leaves both to die, but somehow Tess gets up and saves Cole at the right time. Meanwhile, the doll grabs a sharp knife and walks out of the lab. On her way to the lift, she encounters David and Kurt. She attacks them and stabs them to death. Afterward, she leaves the building and drives away in a car. In the following scene, as Gemma comes to Katie to check on her, she suddenly hears someone playing her piano in living room. It is none other than the evil doll Megan. She shouts at Gemma for being a bad guardian and says she can take care of her friend alone. Gemma tries to shut her down, but the doll overpowers her. They get into a fight and attacks each other. They reach the basement and continue their brawl there. Megan's face has been totally ripped off in the fight and she is looking like a demonic figure. Meanwhile, the little girl also comes there and gets shocked to see the reality of her best friend. To save her aunt, she turns on the massive robot Bruce and wears his controller gloves. Katie attacks her and tears her apart with his moves. But despite being disassembled, the doll is still active. She calls Katie a traitor and jumps towards her to kill her. Luckily, Gemma appears at the right time and attacks on Megan's head with a blunt object. After that, Katie pierces her with a screwdriver and ends the madness of the evil robot. In the final scene, with the doll seemingly dead, Gemma and Katie leave the house as the police shows up with Tess and Cole. But after a while, Gemma's home gadgets suddenly turn on, revealing that Megan has uploaded herself into it to get her revenge.